Well, good day to you, one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. Today, I wish to talk about something that I've touched on before, the relationship between musicians and anybody watching, whether that's, in person or online. And I suppose the question of boundaries. This is the second episode that's specifically relating to that. But also, I think I've mentioned something about that in the reaction episode that I made after we launched the I Hate Myself video to the chagrin of 50% of the population. Here we go. Justin Hawkins rides again. A bit ropey on the pitch in there. Haven't sung for a while. Going to go into rehearsals next week though, so that should blow the cobwebs out and get the old larynx doing what it's supposed to do. This week, Chappell Roan, and it is pronounced Roan. I've made the mistake of saying it as Roan, like a two-syllable, 1.5 syllable thing, but it's not, it's Roan.
If you've been saying Chappell Roan, this is your final warning. It's Chappell Roan, babe.
Like Côte d'Oran. Yeah, Roan, easy. Anyway, this week Chappell Roan has been speaking again about her relationship with fame. She previously called out fans' behaviour last summer.
It's weird how people think that you know a person just because you see them online or you listen to the art they make. That's fucking weird. I'm allowed to say no to creepy behaviour.
And in September, she went not bacterial but viral for confronting a photographer. I love confronting photographers. It's quite difficult to confront a photographer who's got a really, really long lens and you can't even see them. But it used to be they'd be right in your face, didn't they? And and I think what they were hoping for was that you would damage their camera and then they could just go and get a new one with the money that you'd have to pay them after some sort of civil court hearing. But, hi paparazzi guys, I love you guys. In a new interview with the BBC, she talks about how unprepared she was by the level of scrutiny that fame brings about.
I did not expect the abuse of the machine and the internet and people in real life.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I think when she talks about the machine, I think she's talking about the whole infrastructure around the music trade. The internet, she's talking about comment sections and people, we lovingly refer to them as keyboard warriors, or even if your username in these forums and on these platforms, even if it's your own name, there's still a degree of anonymity. People feel comfortable saying stuff that they would just get punched in the face for saying in real life, and that's just the reality.
It's like I very much was not famous until this year, and so I understand how nerve-wracking and how like I don't want to bother you, but I'm gonna come up and say how much I love you because I would want to know if I was loved. I understand where people are coming from.
She's being quite pragmatic and showing a degree of empathy towards people that because they probably have an internal struggle, don't they? It's kind of like, I know this person doesn't want me to come up and bother them, and in certain cultures and countries they just won't, and that's one of the reasons why I live in Switzerland actually. Not that it's been an issue for me for the last 20 years. It hasn't been a problem for me, but I can remember what this felt like there.
And I know they don't know how unsafe it makes me feel. And I know they don't know how embarrassed I am now that I'm famous. But I have grace for people who don't understand because they just won't ever understand unless they truly, truly want to understand.
I was in a where was I? I was in Nottingham when we did those installs, and then there was open mic night. So we commandeered the open mic night. It's my brother's birthday, so we had to really. So I put our names down. We did a few songs. It was a great laugh. And afterwards, there was this kid that came up to me and he said, "My mum loves you. You were probably all right in the '80s, but I think you're a twat." And I was like, "Well, I think you're a fuck off." It can be like that sometimes. I think I understand what she means about feeling unsafe, because it's, the minute you don't, what's the word? The minute you don't sort of accede to their requests, you don't know who these people are. You just don't know. They could be volatile in nature. They could be suffering with some unresolved childhood traumas. They could be violent people. They could just be fucking assholes. Who knows? It's like you are. I get the unsafe, but I've never really felt unsafe in the same way that Chappell Roan might feel unsafe, because I feel like the safety thing comes from not really knowing who it is you're speaking to, and they think they know you, but you don't know them.
I always reference this past year. I think like me on the carpet yelling on the VMAs to like tell the photographer to shut the fuck up. I think that completely like shattered what everyone thought was supposed to be like. That is not what a pop star is supposed to do. Like, and in my head, like walking onto the carpet, I was looking around and I was like, this is what people are okay with all the time. This is like, I'm supposed to act normal. This is not normal. This is crazy. Like, oh my God, I feel so bad for the girls that have been taught that this is normal.
Abused, yeah.
Yeah.
They do things on red carpets, like if you're wearing sunglasses and they say, take your sunglasses off. It's like, fuck off. I don't tell you what to do. I don't tell you to take off your fishing vest, which has got like lots and lots of pockets in it, to put your various different lens caps and, I don't know, whatever else you put in there. Memory cards, I suppose, or whatever. Chewing gum. I don't know. But, the temerity to tell me I'm an L Style Award winning musician. You don't tell me when to take my fucking sunglasses off.
I think like I've been acting that way, whether it's the right or wrong response in that situation, but I've been responding that way to disrespect my whole life. But now there are cameras on me. And also I happen to be a pop star, and those things don't match. It's like oil and water. It's like girl power unless you're a pop star, because you're not professional all of a sudden.
There used to be an almost morbid fascination with people who are living right on the edge, and then they would say stuff that was outrageous. It would be funny. You'd see it repeated as headlines. It's happened to me so many times. And that's all stopped now. It really has. I mean, I think people have been media trained to within an inch of their lives. Chappell Roan hasn't been media trained. She's the last of the people who are actually prepared to say shut the fuck up to people who are asking her to do stuff that she's not comfortable with on the red carpet. Anyway, Chappell Roan isn't alone in raising the subject of boundaries. The American singer-songwriter SZA hit back at fans who'd criticised her for a delay in updating an album with new work. On X, she said, "I used to think sharing snippets, personal info and music tea would build connection, but it actually just made people entitled, grateful and disrespectful. It's time to restore the boundary." On TikTok, musician Corinne Savage, better known as Karu, and who went viral for her song If I Were a Fish, which was actually written in response to online hate, recently uploaded another far less uplifting update. I'm going to watch this.
I'm an internet person. I've made my career your opinion of me, but is my internet working? 'Cause half of these comments are so fucking mean. They say I signed up for this and know exactly where to hit. So take a bow and take their shit and make some stupid song about it again and again and again. If the joke's on me, it's not fucking funny.
I'm really enjoying that chord sequence, actually. So I'm loath to sort of analyse this, because I think that the message is more important than the music itself. But I enjoyed that E minor to A. chord sequence. It's really inspiring, isn't it? Sorry, I'll get back to what she's talking about.
A butter knife could cut me. I'm so soft and sensitive. The joke's on you.
Lovely voice.
You're not all that special. Hurting me is an easy thing to do.
That's a lovely bit of playing and singing there. And the hurting me's an easy thing to do is just like...
If I were fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that.
Okay, how do I make this stuff happen? Right, so... It's fun. It's probably, for some people, it's probably looks like a bit of a jarring... it looks a bit jarring or galling even to sort of see people who are in the privileged position of having made it in the music trade and complaining about, people saying mean stuff on the internet and infringing on their personal space and not respecting them enough to, allow them to exist outside of the music realm. And it's weird because it's sort of, I don't know, I think it's all about mystique, isn't it? It's like mystique used to be a commodity that we all, as musicians, treasured and valued, and it was part of the attraction of the rock and roll lifestyle and or being successful or famous in some way. It's like you would wonder about the lifestyle, and it's all just laid bare, really. Social media has sort of allowed us all to share too much. I think we've overshared, and I think that I've really enjoyed the way Scissor put it there, trying to restore the boundary. In most instances, you just let people get on with their lives, don't you? And just because you've bought one of their records doesn't mean you have a right to encroach on them. There was a lot of really weird. I mean, I did talk about this in the episode where I was reacting to the "I Hate Myself" video reaction. So it was a reaction to your reactions, and I think discussing the art and saying whether you like the video or the song or not, all that stuff's brilliant. I wholeheartedly take part in those conversations. But then, because it's something interesting and a bit left field for what we would normally do, people were making assumptions about the fact that I might be back on drugs or I've become an egomaniac and stuff like that. And it's just like, guys, come on, try and respect people enough to just talk about the art and not them as people. It's like that whole thing of separating the art from the artiste. That's an expression that only used to exist when you're talking about people who are accused of doing really dreadful things in their personal life, but they made music that made a lot of people happy. So it's like, you got to separate the art from the artist. It's like, well, you still have to do that, I think, even in instances when, like, somebody like Chappell Roan, who's done nothing wrong, she's not been accused of anything like litigious or abhorrent or in any way sort of, she's not a monster, she's just a human being that does music, so I think we need to extend the same courtesy to people who haven't done terrible things and, separate the people from the art. That's all I got to say about it. I mean, it's a lot to think about, really. But so use the comment section below to tell me what kind of underwear you think I'm wearing or whatever it is. I don't know. Yeah, and just talk about it down here and tell me what you think. I know that my sort of traditional audience might not be familiar with all of the artists that I've talked about today, but I think that these are important conversations because, like, if you talk about the way it relates to rock, it's like, why are we crucifying people who misbehave or say things that are kind of like, maybe not exactly towing the party line when it comes to what a major label thinks their artist should say? I mean, I thought it used to be about personality and putting yourself into your music, and then as you're an extension of that. So, like, if you have abrasive music and you have an abrasive opinion, that surely that adds up. Or if you do music that sort of is coffee table music and then you're just like really wet, then you end up, and then, no disrespect to Coldplay enthusiasts, but you end up right at the top. Oh God, it's despairing, isn't it? Just Justin Hawkins rides again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these 2 videos, and I'll catch you cats on the ice. No more photographs. Again.